So, hello. Today is the June 25th, and we're going to be going through how to build some tools. Applied automation is one of the hardest things to do. Sure, you can go find a YouTube video that'll make the thing that you want. There are tools out there like Claude that if you tell it what you want, it'll probably help you out. But the disadvantage to those is they don't help you think through the problems. They don't help you really build. So today we're going to build week one, task one, this tool right here that's going to help those that want to start to build their business, to take this 12-week course. We want to have a tool here for them. And this is the who, what, and why framework. Right? This is a foundational exercise that uses a structured worksheet or a template to help participants clearly define their ideal client avatar. Well, I want to make this available to all of our members, and I want it to work with AI. So we're going to build that today. All right. And so the first thing I want to do is I want to come over here. I want to copy this, and I'm going to start with a little bit of pre-search. I'm going to go to Claude. And I'm going to have a conversation quickly with Claude. We are going to, I'm going to use the microphone if it wants to work. There we go. Okay. We are going to build an innate AI agent automation that's going to perform the following action. I want to use the innate inform to trigger and then produce the needed information. I want to have to think about this. Actually, I don't want to use a form. I want to use the chat, and I want to be able to interact with the AI that uses the prompt we'll build later on in order to produce this. And then I want to use the agent to send an email to the person when they're done. All right, we're going to clean this up just a little bit. I'm just going to remove this. I'm also going to come down here. You know what? And I'm going to say, I want your opinion on nodes and flow, but to work through it with me. Don't just take off and do it. All right. So let's see what we get. Now, this is the workflow that I would normally take in a situation like this. Okay. Really practical agent automation. First, let me understand the overall architecture you're envisioning: chat interface, AI, data collection, email generation. Okay, good. For those nodes and flows, right? So we have a framework. Okay, good. Deep dive here, deep dive here, deep dive, synthesis and action. So what's your take on the flow? Sounds pretty good to me. So you don't have to know how to solve these, but the goal today is that we're going to build it and then iterate over it and refine it. Are you leaning toward conversational AI that maintains context throughout, or more of a form-based? Okay, sounds good. I like the conversational, right? So let's see what the next thing Claude has us help. Feels more natural, okay? More like business branching, give someone vague answer. Okay, progress tracking. Okay, what's your preferred? Are you thinking more structured coaching questions? And practically speaking, do you want to build this as a single long conversation or break it into sessions they can return to? Great questions. I think I would like it to be more brainstorming at first, but the final more coaching style and one long conversation. But I don't want it to take too long. So we should keep the questions limited. All right, let's see what we get here. Smart approach. Okay, good. Let's explore business. Okay, that's good. Transition now that we've explored some ideas. Coaching mode, great. Keep it concise. Who, 3, 4. Okay, good. So that's like perhaps 10 questions. Sounds great. Sounds great. Now let's think about technical architecture. No, let's see. I meant N8N and AI agent and let's see, what else do we want with tools, right? Good. So now we know what steps we need: a trigger node, agent node, decision node, data storage nodes, and email node. Now the framework, okay, so into the agent context splitting expectation setting, who agent, the what agent, the why agent. Each agent has access to a previous, okay, that's good. Questions for the N8N. Which AI service are you planning to connect? So one, open router, so I can have options. So two, N8N's built-in chat. Let's just go with built-in chat. Three, N8N's data storage. Let's use built-in for now. Built-in for now. And custom tools or leverage existing. Let's leverage existing. Okay. That's a clean setup. Okay, great. So now we have the basic instruction here. Okay, so chat, workflow, phase one agent. Okay, good. Synthesis, email. Should we start with defining the system prompts? Actually, first, can you create a JSON or N8N AI agent that will allow us to get started? So this goes to show you that you don't have to be a master, but you do have to be able to think. You do have to be able to walk with Claude in this journey. Now, this is not going to produce an end product, but it will get us started. Maybe the question you're having is, well, how do I have multiple agents or do I have a single agent? What's Claude thinking here? How do we, set it up in such a manner that we have those multiple agents? And so if you're not sure, this is a great way to get started. So we're going to let it continue here for a minute because this is live, although the recording will be in the community thread or the community classroom. We do have to let it let it do its work. Notice this is quite a large, so we're at an email situation here, it looks like. Okay, so connections. Now this is kind of a flow. And wow, it's going to town. Oh no. All right, let's see. Looks like Sonnet may be busy. Let's go to maybe we can do 3.7. I don't want to change the chat. Let's try it again. Remember, this is about using tools to help you grow in your development. Hello, Ivan. Can you hear me? Well, I'm not sure if you can hear me or not. We're working in Claude right now to build the first tool for task one of week one in the 12 weeks of business. And if you can hear me, if you would let me know, give me a thumbs up or something along that sort, just so that I know that you're hearing me and able to, so that you can interact. I do see you're muted, so that could be part of it. All right, well, I'm going to continue. So here is our N8N workflow that it gave us. Now, remember our initial, let's go over here. So task one, the who, what, and why framework. This is the tool that we're working on building right now. So let's go to here and we can just paste and let's zoom out just a little bit here so we get an idea of what we have. Okay, so we have, let's see, all right, so we have multiple steps here. And let's see. Okay, so we have a break right here, and then we have a summary email here. And so let's see here. Okay, we do have a chat trigger. And let's look at our initialized variables. And so it has current phase conversation. Okay, good. And then we have this switch. So the way that the switch is going to work is we have an output, right? So if the output, and we'll run it here in a second, is ready, we'll continue if it contains ready. Otherwise, it would just go off in here and stop for now. And let's see, I do see Ivan. Yes, this is recording. And so, but you're welcome to unmute and participate. And so, okay, so when we look at it, we have, all right, the introduction, and then we continue. If we look at our next switch, okay, so this is containing complete. So if the message from in front of it is complete, it will go to the next one. I'm assuming this is probably the same, complete. Once it goes through the why, then we have this synthesis agent action. So we got to figure out what the question mark is. Let's see on the send email. So we'll switch this out. I'm going to do that right now just so we don't forget. So I'm going to add it to here for now. I'm just going to say Gmail, and I want to send in a message here. Okay, so you're going to make sure that the credentials are connected. The send, we'll just send it to my email for now. We'll just say test and message is hi for now, just so that we can have that in. Then we'll disconnect this. Okay, so let's go back over here and look at what we have going on. So our first agent, let's see here. We do have a prompt. Come on, here we go. Let's open this up. You are a business framework coach helping entrepreneurs complete the who, what, and why exercise. Your role, welcome them warmly, set expectations, begin a brainstorming mode, and the framework who, the ideal customer avatar, the what, core services are being offered, and the why, unique the value proposition. So these are things that we need for business. And as we continue to go through the 12 weeks, we will get to the part where we're writing our funnels and our forms, our email catch forms. And so this becomes very useful. All right. So let's go ahead and save this, even though we have breaks there. And let's open up a chat trigger. Now we can make this publicly available, which we will once we're done. But for now, we're just going to chat down here and say, hello, what do I need to do? Okay, we're just some kind of formal conversation. And so we're getting unrecognized node, and that's this innate in nodes base SQLite here, okay, which is probably related to this up here, I'm assuming, because that is a save the data framework. Okay. And usually when you're in this kind of situation, the easiest way is you can just break this. And let's see what we got here. Do we have anything in here that we need to worry about or look at? Okay, is using agent that has been deprecated. All right, so this introductory agent, do we want to continue with it? We can look at it here. Maybe I think conversation agent is fine. We're going to go ahead and define. Let's execute the step. And so this is both the pro and the con of using Claude to generate the XML or the JSON to help us out. See, if we disconnect here and we run and we do something, we should see that interaction, right? And we're still stuck with this over here, but we're hitting this trigger going to here. Now, each one of these agents has a different prompt already established with that, right? So we can tell though we do need a chat model, we do need memory, and we may need tools. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reconnect this. And if we go back over here and say, okay, we're going to ask it if it can make a diagram. Can you make me a diagram to show the flow? Ivan, are you still here? Yep, I see at least your placeholder there. All right, so one of the nice things about Claude, most of them will make flow charts using this mermaid language. And so if we zoom in on it, we can see a bit better. We want to have a chat trigger. We want to initialize variables. And then we have our introduction agent. And then there's this cycling happening, right? Ready for the who phase. And yes, goes forward. No, it goes back up here and asks a question again. And so this is what we want to start working. Okay, so let's go ahead and give this I'm going to go to Open Router, GPT, fine there. So notice no longer red, right? That helped with that right off the bat. So let's do a test. Again, we're just going to say hello. And if we look at the flow, okay, so let's go over here. Unrecognized node type innate in. Where is that coming from? So let's grab this. Let's go back over here and let's have a conversation. Getting this error. Now, part of what I wanted to show you with this is kind of how to visualize it, how to get an idea of what's happening. Oh, I didn't paste the error. There we go. Let's try that again. No, that looks like that's the JSON. Go back over. All right, so we'll do it this way. Let's just make a screenshot of this. Claude. Okay, there we go. All right, SQLite node isn't available in your instance. Okay, so now it's going to go through and change this. And notice it changed it over here. And it's changing it in all the places that are called SQLite. Now, we do actually have SQLite memory. we come over here and we click on one of these memory agents. I forget where it's at. It's in here somewhere. But when we're talking about agent memory, these are typically the ones that we want. And I just made a video and released it on using Zep. Zep is really nice. But in this case, I think we could probably go with simple memory. So let's talk to chat and say, let's see here, replaced with a set node. Okay. So in this case, it did a set node, prepare framework data, right? So let's just copy that one again. And this is, of course, fun of working in this kind of situation. Now, I would normally not build this, but I want to show you how you can do it to begin to develop your confidence in how it's done. Okay, we'll move this over here. Okay, so we already know we're going to switch that to Gmail. So let's get back over here and let's put our chat in again. Open router, it's good. Now again, you to use Open Router, you do need credentials for that. You would come here, create new credentials, and go to Open Router. All right, so now let's do the same thing here. Begin here. You can also copy and paste these, but in this case, it's really not any more complicated. Just to click a couple of times. Okay, so we've done all of these now. We know this is still broken, but let's save this and let's see what happens here. So now we are starting our flow, okay? And here's our output. Welcome. I'm excited to guide you through the who, a little bigger, the who, what, why exercise, a simple yet powerful framework. Okay? And what inspired you to start? And who are you imagining as your perfect customer? Okay, so I'm gonna, I don't know, let's make up a business. Let's think about what we would want. I have been in lawn care for 15 years, and I like to help people make their property beautiful. Okay, reasonable enough. And so now, notice at this point, okay, I'm excited to a quick focus to kick things off. So we're stuck in this loop. And so what is the next step? What I would do is when we come down here, what I would do is I would say, let's make this a tad bit bigger here. And I would say that we now need to figure out what it's going to take to move us from because we want to be on the true branch, right? But we're getting a false branch. And if we look at our response, we need it to include ready. Now, to test this, we can come over here, we can come to our output, and if we go into JSON, we can, well, let's see, it's not letting me do it. It just made some updates yesterday. Normally they have an edit. It's not letting me edit. Now, response, well, that's all right. We were just going to short-sight it anyway, not the best plan. But what we want to do is we want to know how to get this to the next step. And we know that ready is required because if we look at this one again, right here at our response, we can see that the assistant is a large language model designed to assist with a variety of tasks. And here's our output. Here's our string, the final answer, and we're stuck at this final answer. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say, copy, come back over here and say, this is the response I get, I spell it right, I get after I answered the question to start, which was similar. I am not, actually, let's go as simple as possible. So now here we go. And it says it's stopping at the ready for who phase, the decision node, because it's not finding the keyword ready. We already went through that, right? And now it says there's no connection for the false path. And if we look at what it's trying to do, it's trying to build this such that it works. The disadvantage, as I said before, is that this will help you get up to speed. But the problem is now, in order to use this, we have to remove everything again, paste in the new data. And if we look at the new JSON, now, notice, now what do you think is going to happen up here in a minute, right? So we got this weird summary email. Did I see a message or is that just, that's just Otter. So we're getting steps here. And I was trying to get this so we don't have many of the overlaps. Let's get this over here. And so we have, not sure why we have a summary here. I don't know what this exactly is for. I'm going to delete it for now, just get it out of the way. Because what we really want to look at is this right here. And if we look at our prompt, start by welcoming them. After one or two exchanges, single readiness to move to the who phase. Now, does it say right here? Okay, so important when you feel you have enough initial contact, end your response with the phrase ready for the who phase. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at this, and let's connect the open router one more time. Okay, great. And what I'm going to do is, let's go ahead and connect the open router here. Now, let's look at our body, because we can assume, most likely, if we need to loop here, we are probably going to have to loop here. Now, we can look at how this is done, and we can say, well, this is going to get to there if we have that happen. So let's give this a shot. Okay, so let's back up. Let's refresh this completely. And let's say, what I'm going to do as well is I'm going to add a memory, just a simple memory. Let's change this. Yeah, that's fine. Just so that we have, so it'll remember what it is we told them, right? Because if it's going to loop, it needs some kind of memory, right? So let's do this. Let's open the chat and let's say hello. All right, let's see what we get. Now we got a subnode, no session ID found. All right. And again, we open the node, we have the session ID, but we want, in this case, to define here. Now, this is another issue because how do we know what to call that? So if we run this one right here and it runs, notice it looped, and it's stuck now in this loop. So this provides us a new problem, and that's because we don't have a session ID. And so what we need to do is come over here, and if we're not sure, and this is the problem, as I've said, when you're building with Claude and letting Claude determine what your components are. We want, we want to know what this is right here. And without the session ID, we're getting stuck. If we come back over here and look at our variables, what are our variables? User response, introduction. And so these are our variables. So we have an idea of what we want. We want a chat trigger. We want some variables. We want an AI agent to run. When it feels it's ready, we want it to continue and work our way down. And so at this point, we have decisions to make. What do we want to do? Now, if we come back over here and we ask Claude one more time, okay, what should the session ID be for, I think it's called simple memory. Yeah, make sure my brain doesn't die on me. Memory. Okay. It does need memory, I think. Right, we're just going to ask it. I think absolutely right. Okay, so for conversational memory. So now when we come back, we see again that it's building the Who framework again. Now let me add memory collection nodes after each AI agent. Now it says here, let me fix it properly. We'll let that run for a minute. So although you can use Claude this way, you do have to iterate over it a bunch. And it's still making edits. Notice here it's adding memory agents and still going. Okay, so right, it's generated that. Let's take a look at what we get now. Once again, removing this and paste it in. Then I get it picked up. Oh, come on. For whatever reason, now it doesn't want to copy. It's not definitely not copying. Let's reset that. Apparently, it's not copying from here. So let's go ahead and do it the old-fashioned way. Okay, so we can come up here. We can say, I don't really want to. I don't think it gives me a paste option. Nope. Something is up with Chrome, probably. All right, so what we can do is we can come over here and we can download as a JSON. Let's open that up, and then let's come back over here and grab it. And yep, Chrome is messing up right now. So let's go ahead and import from a file, and it saved it in downloads. I'm just hunting it right now, and it is in other. And of course, in my JSON, I have about 2,000 files. So give me a moment to find it. In workflow, I believe it. Oh, so I guess it broke something. All right, so let's go back to Claude and say it won't import. All right, so it's going to create it fresh. And generally speaking, Claude does the best job. But here in a second, we are going to, now that we have a good idea of what it should be, we can also look at what some of these prompts are. We'll let this run through. We can build it by hand probably just as quick. But sometimes you have to take the time to learn and get an idea of what to expect before you build it, because maybe you don't know that you need to link and have switches and, have catchphrases telling it to do this and all these different things. So we'll let this continue. All right, it says it's done it completely. Let's see. All right, now we have a correct possible. Okay, so let's break it down here. Okay, so we have a loop, which is good. We have another loop here. We have a loop here, which we made by assumption, right? Since one has it and they all do it, probably need to. Okay, and now it's not even bothering to give us an email. At the end, let's go ahead and put a open router here. Let's put one here just so that we have it in there. All right, and let's talk to it one more time. All right, so it's thinking, it's moving through, and now the chat model subnode. Okay, so it needs a node here, and we can make the assumption that it's not asking us any questions. So that means we have a prompting problem. But it's okay to work our way through and make sure that our structure is lined out. And then let's just go ahead and connect to Gmail here. Again, we want send mail and send the message here. We'll just call this test and test. Okay. All right. So let's ask one more time. Let's say hello there. And so it's going to go through. So this means what? Well, it's going to the next one. So something came through, right? And so it said to start, could you tell me briefly about your business? Also, what inspired you? Ready for who? Okay. So the output there did not depend on our response. But we come down here and I'm willing to bet if I go to my email, we'll give it a second to have sent that email as soon as I can find my email. Okay, and hasn't come in yet. I think it just did. Yep. And so the email said test, exactly as we expected that. So we've made progress in this, down a little bit and stretch this out, but it's not so cluttered. Okay. So that's great. Let's go ahead and save this. Actually, let's name this, because at least we have a working sort of, right? And we're going to call this week 1, task 1. And let's take some of the tags. This has agent. This also has, no, not easy Airtable, but it does have Gmail and open router. Okay, so that's good. That's saved. Now we have to work on the prompting, right? So I like a organized workspace. Here. Okay, save that. Okay, so now we can talk to Claude and say, all right, it's working, but it's continuing through. We're going to show this response right here. Now we can also come up in here and grab the response, and we're going to say, okay, the entire workflow is working, but it just went each agent and did not ask questions. And here is the first response by typing. I got a new keyboard and I hate it even worse than my last one. Here is the response from the first agent. Okay? So we'll put this here so that I can see. Now at this point, we don't want it to generate anymore, right? As far as these full agents. Now it's going to try to, and we don't want that. And so let's just stop it and let me fix the core issue. You need, okay? Let's ask it, is this a prompt issue? Here's what's happening. The workflow is designed to run sequentially through all the nodes rather than having a conversation. So we need to, instead of each agent should, ask a question and wait for a response. Now, we don't want it to rebuild everything. So let's just say we want it to just rebuild the first agent and step. Let's see what we get. Smart approach. Yeah. Okay. So in this case, what I would do as far as the learning phase of this, okay, I would grab this. I would come over here and I would just open a new workflow. I'd paste it in here and get a look for it. Okay. So what's changed? So I'm assuming then that the change is here, but it doesn't really. So let's ask. Okay. What did you change? So you can use AI in two ways. You can use it to do the work for you, or you can use it to help you learn what is required. Okay, so here we're learning as we're going through. We're going through this, and we're saying, okay, well, what's a good way to do it? And so the major simplifications removed all the phrase transitions, okay? And so well, again, okay, so let's ask it. Did you add or remove any nodes? We don't see any nodes changed, right? And oh, this is very bizarre. Okay, so I removed nodes, all the who, what, and why nodes. Okay, so if we come back over here and we look at the new one that it's giving us, I don't see anything in here. This is the introduction coach. Let's come back over here. So it went from, okay, so let's see here. Sometimes when you're working with AI and you're trying to use it to help you build, this doesn't make sense, right? Tell it. Kept the same track jigger. Are these removed, period? Okay, are these removed always, or just because you are giving only, let's say, only doing the first step, right? That's what we want to know, first step. And does the first step change? Okay. These nodes are removed temporarily, which would make sense. I mean, come on now. So the original first steps introduction agent was told to end with ready for who trigger. Okay. The first step is do not mention moving yet. Okay, why this matters. Okay, so in English, right? What did you change? Is this a new prompt? So if you use AI to help you learn and to tackle challenges that you don't find on YouTube, you'll spend more time in the beginning doing these kinds of situations. Yes, I changed the prompt. The old prompt was, the new prompt says, do not mention. Okay. So what we really want is the prompt. So please give me the complete new prompt, and then how does it know when to respond with ready for who? Okay, so here's the new prompt. You are a friendly business framework coach helping entrepreneurs who, what, why. Okay, for this introduction conversation, welcome them warmly. Explain this should take. Do not mention moving to the next phase. Just have a good conversation to understand their business. But so the question is, once we've confirmed the conversation works, okay, so what it wants to do is test this prompt. Let's go back over here and go into our expression. Let's just change this as it says. And so now I believe we look at it here, it doesn't. That's the problem I'm trying to solve. In the simplest version, the agent will never say ready for who because I told it not to. This is just a test. Once we confirm the conversation flow works, we need to add logic. Okay, so now the particulars are, we know we need memory. It's simple memory. And simple memory has become, I really like Zep a lot. The only problem with Zep in this particular situation is we would have a lot of potential. And we're going to map this from the API. So let's execute this real quick. All right, now let's take a look at it. Why is it not? There we go. Okay, so this is the, let's see, initial session ID. And this is the node here that's given a problem. Why is it not liking the session? Oops. Let's go back over here. Let's bring this back to the middle. All right. And let's run this one more time here. Okay, so now the memory bank worked. Normally it pops up and gives you that option, but we found it the old-fashioned way using our eyeballs. Okay, so the who, what, where framework, what services, products should take you to 20 minutes. My goal is to support you. Feel free to share as much as you like, and I'll ask some friendly questions to help you understand. Okay, so we're back to I have a lawn care company and I to help people have beautiful places. I don't really remember what we put last time. And so now it's thinking, okay, and it's using simple memory. Now, once again, it's looping completely. Okay? And so now we need to tell Claude once again, we are getting this massive loop. Let's power that off for a second, deactivate. And so now we can come back over here and say, now, after I answer the first question, I get infinite. And the simplified only has 3 nodes. The issue is in the connections. Let me check the workflow. Okay, we need an add an end node. So, or the real solution, the chat trigger should handle back and forth naturally without looping. The real problem is chat workflows, the user message should trigger a new execution, not continue the same execution. Okay, the loop suggests workflow is trying to continue. Can you check? Are you seeing multiple agent responses? So if we come back over here, we can, it's still going. So hopefully at this point, let's see. Oh yeah, 37 of them right now. So let's just grab this and move this up. We're going to take a screenshot. We want this. Lots of looping. Still looking at your screenshot is stuck in the check ready for who. Keeps firing over and over. The issue, we know that's the issue, but has nowhere proper to go, so it loops and loops and loops. And we know that. Now it's up to 113. And I forget where that's at. Let's just deactivate that or delete that first. Well, that's interesting. I've never had that happen. All right, well, we'll deactivate. We put it back and it went right back into the loop. That's kind of funny. Okay, so the root cause is simplified, gave you, has the decision logging trying to figure this out. The immediate solution, disconnect ready for who node entirely. Let the introduction agent end. Okay, so it wants us to disconnect so it says disconnect here, save that for a minute, see if it ends it. Test if a single back and forth works without looping. Can you try disconnecting the node? Okay, so let's disconnect this one as well because this is controlling the loop. Now let's reconnect over here and let's refresh this. Okay, and let's see what happens here. Disconnect that as well then. And now let's activate these. Is it really still going to loop? I've never had a workflow get stuck in a loop like that. And I don't think most people have because it doesn't see. All right. What do they have over here? I think we can. Let's see. Yeah, it's just running 5 minutes. Interesting. That is definitely a first for me. All right. So we went to stop the execution. And let's bring this back down over here. And what we want to see is if we are getting a test here. Okay, so it looks like it's going through a 1. Wow, that really just messed it all up. It's not happy. Okay, all right, so let's see here. Do we get a response? All right, that's what we're looking for. Welcome. Okay, I like lawn care. Clearly, I've done this a couple of times. My comments are getting worse. Okay, so now we are in fact getting a continuation. I want to help people have beautiful property. Now, what we should see is it's going to give us the who, what, where, and again, right, which it is. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to grab this back over here. Okay, so you said hello, it said this, you said this, you got the same message again. The problem its user is triggering a new workflow execution instead of continuing. Option 1, single agent with memory. We need the agent to have conversation memory. Okay, so if we look at this, we can show here, we can move this down a little bit and let's just make this a little bigger. And let's take a screenshot, say, Claude, I added simple memory already for this and still. And quick test. And so it wants us to send this message. And so let's go ahead and do what it asks in that sense. Okay, so notice it's not picking that up. Oops, let's go back over here. All right, quick fix, add a proper end, better fix in the simple memory node, make sure it's configured so the conversation history, okay? Finally, it's getting to what I would want it to be able to show, right? This part right here. Let's come back over here and let's make this larger so we can see it. We look at our session key. This is what we have showing. And what we want to do is, let's grab this and we'll just make a screenshot of this whole thing. Here is the properties. Actually, it's just a setup. Okay, looking at the memory, make sure it's set to use simple memory output. Agent should reference this. Okay, so now it's saying you are a friendly current conversation. So go back over here to and let's look at how they have this important check the conversation. Actually, we're just going to grab that whole thing. Now, this conversation history is not that, right? The conversation, let's just clear this. And now, why are we getting a chat? Is it off? It's on. Okay. Now let's chat with it one more time. Okay. So now we're getting to that. Let's see. Who are the people involved? Local yards. And I like to make. And so it's still not pulling this loop. So the moral of this particular story and this process is using AI to help you build is a great way. It's helping you understand the overall layout. If we look at this, we should be able to tell that, okay, we need an introduction chatbot. At some point, we're going to go to another agent and another agent and another agent, and then we're going to summarize. The part two of the moral of the story is that although AI understands generally what's happening, the technical details are constantly a problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to screenshot this, and because we know that conceptually it works, right? I mean, we tested and we were able to go from one end to the other, which is great. It just didn't do anything along the way. And what we really want to do is think about how this structure should happen. And if we go to, I'm going to show you this. Let's see, move this. Leave without saving. What did I call it? So this is where other people's work, as far as in this case, this is Anthropic. Here they have different workflow methods on how to work with AI. And so this one is called prompt chaining, for instance. And I built these in N8N so you could see them. And I'm going to drop it into the channel. So this prompt chaining, this workflow is ideal for situations where the task is easily and cleanly decomposed into subtasks. So we have a trigger, set a topic, and notice this is quite similar to, we don't need that one, to what it was trying to do here, right? Some input, setting parameters, a series of things, and an exit. So in this particular case, this example is for generating marketing copy, for instance. So if you want to create key points, and then an outline, and then write the article and email it, this is a great method. Then they have this system called routing, workflow routing. And here, this is for complex tasks where there's a distinct category that are better handled separately. So if we look at this one, we are taking an input. If we look at our input, okay, this is write a love dad joke. Okay, really trying to confuse it. Okay, so we have a joke generator here. And so this text classifier is determining which one of these tools that we have, which if we look at what Claude tried to give us, not really in alignment there. Then we have this parallelization. Okay, parallelization is effective when the divided subtask can be parallelized for speed. So here we have an input and we're doing 3 different things all at the same time, finding a restaurant, finding a hotel, finding activities, and then again, we're spitting it out at the end. And then we have sectioning, where sectioning is effective when the divided subtasks can be parallelized for speed or when multiple perspective or attempts are needed for higher confidence. And so again, here we have an input, the AI copywriter. So this is OpenAI, this is Gemini, and this is Anthropic. We're getting 3 different responses, and then we're bringing those down. We're having a voting merge here. So these are some of the different Anthropic recommended functions or flows to work. And this is basically where we're at right here. Started this one. So what I would do, this would be that we went through this, but what I would do is I would start with this, and I'm going to say, okay, so first step, do this. Next step, do this. Next step, do this. Next step, do this, which is quite similar to what we have here. But this flow, Claude was trying to make it far too complicated, trying to do too much at once, and we got these infinite loops. And so this is very important, I think, to understand and see this, because as you begin to work on things that are not on YouTube or blueprints that I have not given you, you're going to come across this. And using a tool like Claude, OpenAI is not nearly as good at building components, but, or in this case, innate inflows. You're going to have problems, or most likely you're going to have a problem, something that is this complicated. So what we're going to do on the next video, and I'm going to do this tomorrow. I'm going to record the next video in line. We are going to take this and turn it into a flow. We're going to actually build the steps so you can see where it went wrong or why it was having such a complicated issue. And we're going to build it out, and that will be posted as part 2 of this. In order to learn, at Gauntlet AI, where we train 150, 140 engineers how to be AI first developers, you have to first experience what its limitations are before you can use it as a tool to benefit you. Okay? Now, innate flows are better because it's an open source, so AI has an opportunity to look at it. It has no clue how to say do make. So, like I said, part 2 of this video is going to be taking this. We'll take these prompts perhaps, and we're going to build those out in a prompt chaining flow first, and then decide where we need to have some form of recursion. But we need to have a tool that will work so that we can begin to use it and find the flaws. And I think that's the second part of that is most important. Claude just assumed this is what we need. And I would say this is probably right. We want an introduction to get some information that then gets passed on to our who phase, which is going to do something with it and get some more information and take that, and we're going to get down here. And then at the end, the summarizing agent is going to take all of that feedback and put it together. So I think anybody that's watching this can see how we are going to do away with these to begin with. And we're going to pass the information 1, 1, 1, 1. And when we get down here, we're going to make a decision. We're going to do something with it and send it so that we can then begin to improve the prompts and test that. We want, at the end of this, we want the user to get the information that a good who would provide. Now, this is an important thing to understand too. We could, at least in the beginning phases, if we wanted to, we could actually have 2 who phase aids, 2 what phase aids, and 2 why phase aids. Right? One taking the information, the next one taking the information, and then begin to refine the flow. One of the worst mistakes that we can make is trying to get it too perfect, too fast, and we don't take the time to really learn what it's doing. And often, the only way to learn what it's doing is to try it, to work with it. Most importantly, break it. Because if you break it, you begin to see where its limitations are. And when you know the limitations, you can work around those, you can improve those, and you can then start to become a legitimate software engineer, automation engineer, AI engineer, whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. Okay? So tomorrow I'm going to pick this up with part 2, and tomorrow we are going to have an output. I will then release that form. We will let a few of the community try it. We'll take that feedback. We'll look at where we can improve it, and we will continue to move on. I know this is kind of long and probably not the most fun video to watch, but I hope that you do, because it's really important to understand what's happening. That said, I would put it on like 1.25 or 1.5, zip through it fairly quickly, learn your lessons, and move on. We'll learn our lessons first. We figured it out. Now, next we'll build it properly. Before I end up wrapping up, Ivan, do you have any thoughts or questions that you would like to ask before we go? All right. That I don't see any typing happening or that. So I appreciate your time, and we'll follow tomorrow with success. And that's always a lot more fun. Better to break it at the beginning and be successful in the following than the other way around. So appreciate it. Have a good day, and we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.